Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Creators Outlet. Today, we're joined by Connor Bartel. Connor, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Cool. How long you been doing the comic book business now?
I released my first comic in August of 2016. Released it in a professional sense for people to buy, but I was making comics before that in a more amateur way.
You've grown in leaps and bounds since.
I sure hope.
You hope so, yeah. So I enjoyed what I saw, so I wanted to have you on the show. And this is your second book in this series?
In this series, yeah.
Now, tell me how it went with the last issue of this series.
Well, we expected it to actually just be a one shot, but people really wanted. We did kind of hint that there was still conflict to be had after the story. We didn't really have any plans to explore that conflict though, but people really wanted to, and people kept saying that they wanted to see where Rat was going, and after the first book, so. Couldn't help myself, wrote a second book, ended it in a way where I had to make a third one, and so now we're at a trilogy.
Perfect. I got a little feel of a lone wolf and cub.
Oh yeah, especially the third book, especially, but the second book definitely starts with that little type theme.
You're a big fan of the black and white genre.
Yeah. I like to. All my favorite comics are black and white, and I guess it's mostly just a coincidence, but it's definitely what inspired me. And also, it doesn't hurt that it's cheaper to produce.
Yeah, there's been quite a few that we've seen come out black and white, and they've done quite well. You get a better feel of the actual artwork.
Yeah.
Because sometimes an inker or a finisher can save an artist's work if he was rushed through or if he's not doing his best work that day. And a colorist can cover up mistakes of the artist and the inker. So
I feel like also sometimes color artwork just washes over me more, and I don't focus on it as much. That might just be my own personal problem, but I always focus on black and white art more for some reason.
It's a little more raw and unfinished.
Yeah.
You get a bit better feel of what it is.
Yeah. And also just over the course of the 5 Kickstarters, all the stories we're doing are just stories that benefit from black and white. Grimwood Crossing was a very detective noir classic, mixed with classic monster movie and mixed with classic Western, and all those things are traditionally black and white. And then this one is inspired by Kurosawa films, classic Japanese cinema, so it's only right.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at your Kickstarter.
All right. Oh yeah, I'd say welcome to the Kickstarter. All right, first one. Welcome to the Swords and Silence Kickstarter. In 2018, we released Swords and Sorrows through Kickstarter with the help of 210 backers. Now we're back at it again for its sequel. In Swords and Silence, Rat has gone from assassin to wanderer as he walks across the countryside seeking peace. In an attempt to make an example out of him, the guild has sent its best killers after him. Swords and Silence is going to be a 22-page single issue, and we're going to offer a digital edition, but every physical edition comes with a free art print. Just like last time, we're going to offer a sketchbook edition with a bunch of artwork from Adigan in the back. If you missed Swords and Sorrows, bundles will be available where you can catch up on the first book, as well as get the new book. If you want to catch up on our last Kickstarter, the Grimwood Crossing Omnibus will also be available. Thanks for visiting our Kickstarter, and we hope you love the book. That's a wrap, baby. All right.
So you're only $600 away from hitting your goal.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, we want to go past the goal because that will
They'll definitely get the third book out faster.
Yeah, that'll already get everything started.
Yeah, we're really excited about this one and the next one. I just actually got the best page of the whole book last night from Madigan. We're over halfway done with the book overall.
Great. I love the cover.
Yeah, Adigan's very talented. Yeah, we wanted to make sure that we offered both the first and second book, for newcomers.
That way, anybody who's just seeing this for the first time can read the entire story. Plus, you've got a prior work in an omnibus that they can also claim as a reward.
Yeah, that's a 200-page story. The Grimwood Crossing. That was me and Adigan also did that story together, and that was our first two Kickstarters and our fourth Kickstarter too. And that was really that one was like really what we learned everything on, and we wanted to pour everything we learned from that into this series. So this one is a lot different though. There's not a single joke in this one as opposed to the last one. The last one, had a lot of humor in it.
Yeah, this one is very serious.
Yeah. Gotta take yourself seriously sometimes.
When you got a katana in your hand, you got to be very serious.
Yeah.
And the art print comes with all physical copies.
Yeah. So when it comes to like printing and shipping independent books on a print on demand type thing, it gets a little bit more expensive, and I have to charge a certain amount. And instead of making things cheaper and cutting into what's possible to sell on Kickstarter, decided to add value to the package by adding a free art print to every order. And that's something I did for Swords and Sorrows too, that ended up being pretty successful. So I wanted to do that again.
Prints are becoming very popular again.
Yeah.
I know. I just bought like 15 of them in like the last month.
Yeah, and Adigan makes beautiful covers. So.
Oh yeah, and everything's also available digitally for people.
Yeah, so Sean Barber's in the chat. That guy's a fantastic creator too. It's shown me a lot of support in the past.
Sean, welcome.
How do I comment? Hi, Sean. I love to see your name in the chat. I would love to comment, but I don't know why or how I can.
You can just comment. I don't know what it looks like. I'm never on that side.
Oh, I think it's actually because I'm on StreamYard. If I go to the actual stream on Facebook, I'm sure I can comment.
You might be able to comment on this, but yeah, if you have a double page open, the only thing is if you open that page, you're going to be hearing lots and lots of echo.
Yeah, I can mute this page, hopefully.
Okay.
Cool. There you go. All right. Yeah, Sean and Chuck, speaking of Chuck again, Sean and Chuck are working on this fantastic story called Belial. I was able to read the first issue script, and it was awesome, and I'm so excited. And Sean's a really talented artist, so I'm really excited to see their work come together.
There you go. You're on screen twice.
There you go. But yeah, speaking of Adigan and talented artists, we also do these things called sketchbook editions on the Kickstarter, where you get the story and then you get a bunch of behind the scenes art for the story, plus a bunch of artwork from Adigan's sketchbook. So these sketchbook editions are a really cool way to get like insight on Adigan's doodles and his more serious art,
and I personally love looking through those and putting them together.
Now, the sketchbook edition has the entire issue plus additional pages of his sketch work in the back, right?
Yeah, it's more than like double the size because it has actually it's more like triple the size because it has almost every page is pencils in the back, and then it also has concept art plus just random sketches and doodles from Adigan's own sketchbook.
Oh, I would definitely go with the sketchbook edition then.
Yeah, it's really, really fun. And it has a nice variant cover.
And this is the first book right here.
Yeah, Swords and Sorrows is the first book. Swords and Silence is the second book. In the future, we'll be releasing Swords and Solace, Part 3.
And Grimwood Crossing.
Yeah, that was our. That's a complete collection of our original series.
200-page collected series. Nice little omnibus to add in, so you can see where you guys came from.
Yeah, those are really exciting. I that's the big pride and joy of Grimwood right there. I worked really hard on designing the layout of the book and the chapter divisions, and I wrote a handwritten journal that was written by one of the characters, and then a handwritten bestiary that was written by another character. So you get like a nice complete package. It's about like 107 or 165 comic book pages, and then it has like those lore extras in the back to make it a nice 200-page collection.
Well, that's perfect. The biggest part of comic books sales-wise now are graphic novels. So this right here is the biggest selling of anything. So a lot of people might be interested in a book, but when they can sit down and just have that complete story, they're more apt to just jump in head first to the shallow end of the pool.
And it is ironic to say because this is a Kickstarter for a single issue, and this is a Kickstarter for Swords of Silence. But you are totally correct. The biggest sell on this campaign, it really is like the Grimwood Crossing Omnibus again, because I mean, if you just look at as far as how many people bought the Ultimate Fan Bundle as opposed to other things, it's a nice spread, and a lot of people want that good value that a trade paperback gets you.
Oh, definitely.
And Adigan, of course, does amazing and speedy art prints, custom art commissions. So,
ooh, Hodor.
Yeah. And actually, this Be an Assassin and a Producer tier has already been bought and taken. There was only one available, and it was already bought. So
it's all gone. You lost out on that.
You lost out on that one, but there's still 4 more art prints or art commissions available.
And as you can see, the artwork in this thing is phenomenal.
Yeah, Adigan just recently switched to like an all digital style, and it's amazing. Nice dynamic action. He's very good at that.
Action sequences are one of the most important sequences in any comic book.
Yeah, that's why you gotta know how to tell story through the action.
And apparently, after he killed everybody, he had some sake.
Yeah.
And then when you jump over to the Kickstarter page, you can read about Connor and Adigan.
Yeah, Adigan.
Oh, look, it's Chuck.
And there's Chuck, the editor, yeah.
Chuck was on just a few issues ago.
Yeah. Yeah, Adigan's from Turkey. We've made about, I don't know, we've made over like 250 pages of comics together, and we never met in person. Oh, thank you, Sean. Yeah, Sean's right. We really like to show the different steps and processes of each page, especially Adigan. He loves. We used to draw live too a lot on Instagram, but we saw a lot of views, but we didn't see a lot of like translating to like the Kickstarter thing. So it was a lot of effort to do in the middle of the Kickstarter for not much leads, but it was still a lot of fun. He would draw live, and I would chat with the viewers while he was doing it, and then sometimes we'd like give away the artwork. So that was always fun. Let's see. There you go. Got a little bit of that blue light in there.
Yeah, when you kind of like leaned off to the side, I go, oh, there's something behind him.
Yeah. My girlfriend really likes the colorful lights. She also helped me film the Kickstarter video. That's why you got some nice color in there. That was all her.
Well, I was hoping you weren't calling your cameraman babe, so.
Let's see. I didn't even know I did that in the video.
At like the very end, you were just kind of being like, so this is where I have to say something about the Kickstarter.
Yeah, I was gonna cut that part out, but I made like a really awkward smile after I said welcome to the Kickstarter. It just felt awkward, so I thought I'd show the whole thing about how I felt awkward to make it make more sense.
Yeah, helps break the silence a little bit with the people watching the video on the Kickstarter.
Yeah, I used to take it a little bit more seriously, but they always ended up like really cringy and overly serious. So I always like do a little bit of moment of levity in the beginning.
It's better that way than to just seem, staunch and angry all the time.
Yeah. Sean says, what's the biggest step forward you've been able to take regarding Kickstarters as a creator in regard to your comic creations? I think the biggest step forward is when I first started doing this, I didn't have Kickstarter in mind when I first started making comics, and the cost of it just started to build up on me, and that's why I initially went to Kickstarter. And knowing Kickstarter is there to go to has changed the process of like how I start conceptualizing projects. And now it's much easier and less of a risk and less of a leap that I have to take to start a new project, knowing I can go to Kickstarter. Of course, it does add time to everything. I can't just throw money at a project or save up and throw money and then just start working on it. I also have to like make, a 6-month marketing campaign for this Kickstarter. But it's nice not having to worry about length as much. I don't have to like only make one shots. I can make stories that will be multiple issues, knowing that I have some help for the future. So that's been really exciting. Right now I'm trying to, after about 2 more Kickstarters after this one, try to figure out how I'm going to fund an 80-page color comic. So that one's going to be quite the challenge, but I know Kickstarter is definitely going to play a part in there.
Oh, definitely. I would talk to Chuck about that.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of people out there that can, give you advice. There's such a huge comic book community, like worldwide. So,
yeah. I think one of the biggest things too is just staying consistent, staying a part of the scene. That's what's really hard for me. I just had like a bunch of bunch of things happening that didn't have to do with comics that were just taking my attention away, and I had to step away from the scene, had to leave some groups, and really like kind of like get everything back together before I could come back and start kickstarting. And it's really hard to stay in there. I just been backing from the shadows, collecting, and then just collecting, my peers' books and reading them at home. But I haven't. It's hard for me to get involved in the community. It's something I'm definitely trying to work on more.
Now, this I have to ask because, being from Boston, the only thing we see about Alaska is like either ice road truckers or the Browns, which I know is not close to reality. So,
yeah, Alaska is it's not much different than any other state that would be relatively new. Right now I live in Anchorage, which is the biggest city. There's only like 2 cities in the whole state. And the biggest city is definitely Anchorage, and it's kind of a lot like just like any other, newborn city. It's not very old as opposed to like a lot of the East Coast,
mm-hmm.
And where we have our problems. We're trying to move forward with them, but it's at least in the summer it's not that different. Things get pretty treacherous on the roads in the winter. It's not ice road truckers here in Anchorage. We have people regularly tending the roads, but it still gets pretty icy, still gets pretty dangerous, and people still get pretty stupid. So I think that's a constant with every state.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've lived in a few of them, and even in the Northeast where people should be used to snow, they think, well, I'll just gun it and see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you thinking?
I know. It's like everyone forgets to drive forgets how to drive the second it starts snowing.
Yeah.
Brendy Arnold says no polar bears. That's right. There's no polar bears in Anchorage, but there's a lot of moose. Not a lot, but we get moose here in Anchorage. I'm actually from about like 100 miles north of Anchorage, kind of more in a rural area. I kind of grew up in like a homesteading situation. There was more wildlife out there. Still no polar bears out there though.
No, they're all much farther north than Anchorage, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's crazy we can drown ourselves out by real life emotional obstacles and working on shaking off Kyle step back into public view. I feel that. Mark Bartel says, best comic book writer I know. Just ignore his last name. He's just a random fan. That's my brother. He on one of our campaigns, he provided wood burnt signs, and he also does a lot of the logos for my comics.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So definitely involved in the process and the campaigns there.
That's good to know. And
Keep it
as being one of the 2 cities in all of Alaska, is there more than one comic book shop that people are able to go to?
No, there's just one. It's called Bosco's, and they're fantastic. But they used to have 2 locations, but they still do have 2 locations. But one of the locations doesn't sell comics anymore because everyone wants to go into a comic shop and buy that Deadpool T-shirt, but no one wants to pick up a comic and see where that character came from.
Oh yeah.
So they pretty much one of their smaller locations just switched to straight like nerdy memorabilia, and it's still a great shop, but they just couldn't sustain comics. But they still have a bigger location that sells comics, and I sell my comics there, and it's great to see. I used to spend my summers in New York with my mom, and my stepfather would take me to comic book shops there, and those were a lot bigger and had a bigger chance to find exactly what you're looking for. But I still get pretty lucky at Bosco's sometimes.
Well, yeah, at least you have some place local that you can go do a signing at after this is out.
Yeah, I'm a little bit too anxiety ridden to do signings alone, but they do support the local comic scene by having these like little tiny comic conventions, these little expos. So like the few comic creators here in town can get together and sell their books and meet the readers and stuff. So those are fun.
Well, that's the old school comic book show where you would get just a few locals from the area and some vendors and stuff to come in, and
Yeah.
just a whole bunch of geeks to come in and hang out like all day and talk.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of fun. We also have a one local Comic Con, and it's called Arctic Comic Con, and it's fantastic. It's small, it's humble, but it's nice.
Hey, it's better to have a nice small one than none at all.
Yeah, yeah. It got postponed to October though this year, so
Yeah,
got
all of ours have been canceled around this area, so
yeah, yeah. I know. I spent like a decent chunk of change on copies of my comics, and now I gotta hold off.
yeah, you gotta wait.
Yeah. Hopefully it means even more people come out though. But something tells me that even less people are going to be coming out.
Well, you can't tell. They're I'm sure going to be imposing all kinds of new laws and restrictions on everyone now. So
Yeah, lots of new restrictions. They just recently left the restaurant industry, and that there's a whole new landscape now there.
oh yeah, I know there's a bunch of them out here. They allowed them to open up if they had like outdoor seating,
Yeah,
but in the city you're like so close to everything. It's like, yeah, we have outdoor seating. It's called the curb.
yeah. This city's actually hasn't been as strict as other cities, or maybe as strict as they could be, but restaurants are like almost back to normal. There's still got to be some sort of social distancing, but they're still almost back to normal, and they're more guidelines than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping the COVID wouldn't affect Kickstarters or crowdfunding, but I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure exactly if it is yet. I'll have to do a whole retrospective at the end of this. I usually write a little retrospective after every campaign.
Oh yeah, I think it was like back in like March and April. Everything was taking like a big hit.
Yeah, especially with like printing and shipping stuff.
Oh yeah. Now most of the printers are back open again, and everything's getting back on track. But yeah.
Luckily, all my stuff is printed in the U.S. and not printed in China.
Yeah, I talked to one guy who did his printing out of China, and he let me know that the slow boat from China was not just a joke; it's a real thing, because his book was like a week late getting back.
Yeah,
he missed his deadline, and he was being distributed by Image at the time.
Not good. I would love to be distributed by Image. Well, Image doesn't distribute. Image uses Diamond, right?
Image uses Diamond, yeah, but they were. It was Mark McKenna. He's got a children's book IP, and he had a Halloween special that was coming out a few years ago for the like the Halloween Comic Fest.
Oh, okay.
And the slow boat from China got it back a week too late for Image to send them off to Diamond. So,
oh, awesome. Well, not awesome, but hopefully you said Mark McKenna was one of the ones that came back and had a successful launch, right?
yep.
Well, I'm glad it worked out for him.
He was almost successfully funded in like the first week.
Nice.
So now he's got all kinds of stretch goals open, and because he's been on the professional level in the game so many years, he's got like all these different creators that he's friends with have like, donated like, sketches or like actual comic book pages from stuff that he's done. And
damn.
You'll get there.
Yeah, I was like, damn. Totally just jealous over here. I'm still trying to get past the 6,000 mark.
You'll get there with books like this. You'll definitely get there.
Hopefully, we're still working on it. The third one I'm really excited about. Of course, I'm excited about the second one, but third one is where everything comes together in the end, and nice, beautiful conclusion. And this is Zero. He's a wonderful cat.
Hello, Zero. He's like, yeah, whatever. Shut up. Keep talking. I'm busy.
He's just gonna be a black blob on the screen. But yeah, the third one we're really excited about. Hopefully we can get some traction on this one, so the third one's even bigger because it's a bigger book. So.
Now, what were some of your favorite comic books if you read them growing up?
I really like ElfQuest a lot, and I really like Walking Dead. Of course, I've been reading Walking Dead since I think I was like 9 years old. I read an issue of Walking Dead, and I started reading it regularly as I grew up and learned how to download things on the internet and stuff. But I really like. Man, I just got issue 1 of Spawn like last year. I found it in a pawn shop. I like Spawn a lot. Let's take a look at my shelf over there. Why the Last Man is one of my favorites.
It's a great series.
Yeah, Brian K. Vaughan is one of the best in the game. Top pedigree there. I when I was younger, I used to really be into Marvel comics. I'm still into the Marvel characters, and I love the Marvel movies. I adore the Marvel movies, and I have a big encyclopedic knowledge of what I read in the comics when I was younger. But as I grew older, I just started moving more towards like Image Comics and Dark Horse and stuff like that. So, but right now the biggest ones on my shelf are Why the Last Man, ElfQuest. I see Nailbiter up there.
Mm-hmm.
Nailbiter was good. The ending was all right. James Butts says, "Hi Connor. I went to high school with James Butts. How you doing, buddy? I haven't heard from him in a while."
Apparently, he has a beard now.
I know, and it's a glorious beard. He looks like a character out of Red Dead Redemption 2, but like one of the respectable characters, not one of the messed up ones.
Oh, so he got to live in the video game. Congratulations, James.
but yeah, I like the black and white comics the most. They're definitely the biggest inspiration for me. Oh gosh, my brother's asking that because he knows the answer that I don't want to give. So I, just like everyone else, started off planning out an overly ambitious 100-issue ongoing series superhero epic. And I still like my idea. I'll have to rewrite the scripts a little bit, but I still like my idea. And my brother made a logo for that, and I had like I made like a 5-page short for it, and it's now sitting in my closet. The logo is really good, though. Good job, Mark.
Oh, maybe one day you can put it as a backup in one of your other books. No? Okay.
No, I won't even let my girlfriend read it.
Yeah, now when you fall asleep, she's going to go digging through your closet.
She probably will. She's listening to this whole thing right now.
Now, comic book wise, what was your biggest inspiration when you first got into this?
Well, so in order to start that, we have to go back to music wise. One of my biggest idols in life and in all art is Max Bemis of the band Say Anything. And I love his music so much. And one day he announced that he's releasing a comic, and it was called Polarity, and it was a 4-issue miniseries about a guy who only has superpowers when he's in the middle of one of his manic episodes. So it's about like a bipolar superhero, and it was amazing. I loved the artist that he hired. I loved how he got the voice you hear in the music. I love how he got it through to his writing, and it really made me realize that like there's actual people behind these stories that just go out there and they're passionate and they make it. And I've always loved comics before that, and I always loved reading them, and I've always been the type that like would love something so much that I couldn't help but try and create it. And so because of Max Bemis's comic Polarity, that's why I really started creating comics, really started writing. Yeah, all of Mark's logos are good. But also the reason that's what made me start to get serious about comic making, but really started making me get serious about the writing craft is fantasy novels. My brother Dan, Dan and Mark actually, they're both they love fantasy novels, and our brother Dan got us both into reading them a lot and into like obsessively just consuming these fantasy epics, and it really started to highlight to me, the intricacies of storytelling. And I started watching Brandon Sanderson's writing lectures that he would do at BYU, because they're all on YouTube for free. You guys should really check those out, by the way. So I started watching those, and that's just how I started getting really serious about the craft. And now I can't seem to read or watch anything without dissecting it,
Well, that's good. The band Coheed and Cambria did the same thing.
Oh yeah.
They did like a multi-issue story arc that afterwards he came out and did an interview and told everybody that basically these albums X, Y, and Z are all part of this story, and it's the soundtrack for when you read the book.
Oh yeah, there was Eric Stone, I think it's Eric Stone. He just wrote a novel for one of Rush's albums, like in collaboration with the lead man of Rush. Also, let's see, Tom DeLonge from Blink-182, the lead singer, also writes. Sorry, my brother's distracting me in the comments. The lead singer also writes comics there. I haven't read any Tom DeLonge's comics, but Max Bemis from Say Anything, he went on to write for Marvel. He writes Moon Knight right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I have one of I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I love Spider-Man, and I have one of he wrote like this 16-page story where you remember way back in the day during Superior Spider-Man where Doc Ock was taking over Spider-Man's body.
Oh, you mean like 4 years ago? Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it has
a
different meaning for me.
It was about 7 years ago, but I'm sorry, I was like 19.
I was in a coma at some point.
But they, I'm sorry, my brother's still distracting me in the comments. But back when Spider-Man was secretly Doc Ock a villain, Max Bemis did like a wonderful story where him and Magneto were like clearing out a bad guy house together, and Magneto is a reformed villain. He just recently wanted to become a hero at that point in time. So, it was he drew like a lot of cool parallels between like they're both like former villains, but one's secret and one's not. Like, and yeah, Max Bemis does some really awesome stuff. You should check him out. He's a big inspiration for me.
Oh yeah, I collected the whole original Superior Spider-Man series. I thought it It's probably
Me
like the
too,
best.
yeah.
It was probably like the best Spider-Man work that they've done in, well, still to this point in years, really.
Yeah, I think that was Dan's slot. I think that was definitely his peak, and I definitely think that was the best Spider-Man story since Ultimate Spider-Man. You
Yeah,
know,
I didn't get into Ultimate Spider-Man.
Brian Michael Bendis, man. That's speaking of a creator's peak. Brian Michael
Well,
Bendis.
the destroyer of DC Comics. Yeah.
Yeah, he went down hard after Ultimate Spider-Man, but Ultimate Spider-Man was his opus. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reason why he's has any sort of respect in the industry today.
Well, he shouldn't after what he did to Superman
Yeah. Well, yeah, he did a lot
and
of
the Legion of Superheroes, and
he did a lot of messed up things in Marvel too.
oh yeah, he was, he was either great or
Yeah, kind of like M. Night Shyamalan.
oh, don't get me started.
Either fantastic or absolutely horrible, one or the other.
Oh yeah.
A little
Well,
bit of sweet in too.
now, comic book wise, you said since you're just getting back into everything now, you've just been reading your peers' books. So you've just been reading like other indie stuff recently.
Yeah, so Tabby no Hana is a book by Brandon Keitajuk and James. I forget the writer's name. I'm so sorry, but I love that story, and I love the artwork in that one. That one's really good. I just picked up a comic from another local creator at Bosco's yesterday called Nod. That I'm excited to read that. There's Tad Galusha. He did the art for the Bubba Hotep comics, and he did some artwork for the Ghostbusters versus Ninja Turtles comics. He released a book with Indie Press called Cretaceous, and he actually lives here in Alaska too. And that book's amazing. There's no dialogue in it; it just tells a story through of these dinosaurs through just action, and it's really great. That's a great story, great book there. But yeah, I just been I like to read more independent stuff now, just because that's where the more unique stories are.
Yeah, well, since I was probably closer to your age in the '90s, I read I read a lot of like the black and white indie stuff and
Yeah,
like the two color indie stuff.
Judge Dredd, Ninja Turtles, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
2000 AD,
Yeah,
American Flag from Shaken. Um, they were like so many that I can't even remember. But if I go and flip through, some of my 500 long boxes, I can be like, oh yeah, and this.
yeah, yeah. I have a nice long box dedicated to just single issues, just issues, and now I had another long box dedicated to trade paperbacks, but now those are up on my shelf because I like to look smart by having books on my shelf. but but yeah, I just got like I said, there's this I'm not gonna say where it's at in case there's any Anchorage people here that are gonna go blow up my spot. But there's this antique store that has just this big collection of comics, and they have like a little collection in the back of like what they know are valuable ones, but then they just have like this huge collection of random stuff full of things that they don't know they have. And I got Spawn issue 1 on there. I got Spider-Man 2099 issue 1 in there, and it's just so much fun just to run through the thrift store. As a matter of fact, I wonder if they're open during quarantine. I should check that out.
You get a call then when we get off when we
Yeah.
be here. I know my friends and I have scored at like thrift stores and antique shops quite a bit. There was one when I was living south of here. There's a like a huge antique store. It was like, what used to be like a really, really big family house with like a full basement and everything. And it's nothing but, it's like a big antique commune, as they like to say.
Yeah.
So, dealers can rent out, X amount of square feet or, sections of the store to put their stuff in, and they
Kind of like an indoor flea market kind of thing.
yeah, they leave the prices up on everything. And one guy, a neighbor of his, had passed away, an older gentleman, and he had collected for years and years and years, like, mostly like DC and Marvel stuff, but stuff from like the 50s on up. And I scored 2 full sets of. Now a lot of them were like low grade copies. You might get lucky to get like some upper mids, because he didn't really keep anything in bags. He just read them, and they went and he put them in a box, but he didn't want to spend the money on bags and boards. So
yeah.
But the dealer his dealer neighbor who got him bagged and boarded them so he could price everything out. But he priced everything like super low. So I got like 2 full sets of the Champions. I got like a full run of Nova.
Oh, wow.
But most of them were all the UK editions.
Oh, interesting.
So I go, that's cool. Now I need to find reasonably priced US editions so I can compare them to see if there was anything actually different in them.
Yeah. At Arctic Comic Con, the comic convention here in Anchorage, they have there's 2 guys that show up and rent a booth just to sell their massive collection, just so people can walk through their booth and just look through their collection and buy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they have some amazing stuff in there. The problem with those guys, though, is that they know the value.
They know how much they're worth. Yeah.
So they don't put prices on anything. What you do is you grab it, and then they'll tell you what they're willing to sell it to you for. And they're always great. They're always like, like, oh, that's just some random stuff, 50 cents. So that's just some random stuff, $1, $2. But then you'll pull out like, something really nice, and they'll be like, oh, that's gonna be $30, man. And you're like, God damn it, he knows.
Be like, hold on, let me check the eBay sold listing.
Yeah. I used to be really into collecting too. I would go through, I would guess what would be like huge in Marvel and buy like first issues and just keep them. Not I didn't even care. Didn't read them, just keep them, because I like knew they were going to be big. Like when Spider-Gwen first started happening,
mm-hmm.
I knew people were going to eat that up. So I went and got issue 1. I went and got issue 0. I went and got the Spider-Verse issue with her in it. And then I went and got the variant covers of a few of them. And I have like 7 different versions of Spider-Gwen issue 1 and issue 0. And now they're like, some of them are worth like $200. Like the variant cover, like the Scotty Young variant cover is worth like $200.
Oh, I used to like Scotty Young when he first came out.
Yeah, it's a little bit oversaturated, the market there. Marvel really pimped him out, didn't they?
It's like a wet sponge. I'm like, I still have some friends that, I'll like an occasional cover here or there. I go, I really like it, but I am so over the baby X-Men.
Yeah. Did you ever read I Hate Fairyland? I think is what it's called.
Yes, that was good.
Yeah. He was pretty good.
I enjoyed that. Matter of fact, after that rant I just went on, I got multiples on every issue of Fairyland and variants, and
nice.
I went through all that. I think I still have, I don't know if it's 2 or 3 copies of the first appearance of Spider-Gwen.
Yeah. The first appearance from Spider-Verse, I have plus I have a variant of that. Then I have the issue 1 plus 2 variants of issue 1 of that, and then they did like an issue 0 thing that I have.
I think somebody was telling me the regular cover of the Spider-Verse one, the most recent sale was like, close to $1,000
No way. Are you serious? Because I have that.
for like a graded like 9.8.
Mine's in perfect condition, baby. It's bagged and boarded and in a long box, untouched. I didn't give a shit about it.
You might want to get that graded. That might be able to fund your next campaign.
I know, right? Because last I looked, just the regular issue 1, like 3 years ago was already at like $70, which is pretty quick for like a regular issue 1 that was only like a couple years old at the time.
There's a store on the West Coast called Half Price Books. There's sadly none around here. And somebody went in and went digging through like all their comic boxes, and they had a Spider-Verse first appearance Spider-Gwen in there, and it's bagged and board. It's in the poly bag, and it was priced at like $2.50.
Yeah, Edge of Spider-Verse 2. I'm looking at it right now. I recognize that. I have that plus the variant cover.
Yeah, you might want to check eBay sold on some of those books.
Fun. Let's see. Marvel Edge of Spider-Verse 9.8, $1,100.
Hello.
Dude, let's get mine graded. Oh my god, I hope it's in perfect condition. I'm gonna be so pissed if it's not. I know exactly. I'm going straight to my long box after this interview.
Well, we want to thank you for coming on the show. I know you're dying to dive into that long box. Right?
Yeah, I might have $1,000 just sitting in there for me.
Definitely go check out Connor's Kickstarter. It's at there's a link for the Kickstarter at the very top of the chat. You just have to scroll past his brother Mark's 37 and a half comments on the feed.
Yeah.
So if you scroll,
I talk too much.
Yeah, if you scroll up to the very top of the chat, you will find the hyperlink for that. There's also going to be one in the actual description down below.
All right.
So definitely go and check that out and get yourself hooked up with this book. Get the previous book along with it, and you can even get a 200-page omnibus, something with a little bit of humor in it.
Well, there's a lot of gore, and there's some moments of dismemberment, and there's some messed up stuff. There's patricide. There's but it's funny.
It's funny, and we're gonna give a big shout out to Bosco's, the only comic book shop to be at in Anchorage, because
hopefully they're looking to buy a first appearance of Spider-Gwen.
You never know.
Yeah. When I saw they were selling Spider-Gwen for like the first issue for like $100, I asked them how much they'd buy mine for, and they said like 80, and then the manager came out and said, "Oh, we don't need another copy," and I'm like,
you never know. Get it graded, because you get to add zeros onto the end of a price when it's graded.
Yeah, I know. All right.
You never know. But thanks for coming on the show. Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th.
And we'll see you after this thing's all wrapped up.
All right.
Get out there, get this book. There's only he only needs $600 to meet goal, and after goal, I'm sure there'll be more cool stuff. Definitely get yourself that sketchbook edition.
And share with your friends. If you can't afford a book, no problem. Share with your friends. Who knows? If you message me at the end of the campaign and you show how much you shared, I'll just send you a digital copy for free, maybe. Who knows?
You never know. You heard it here first.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you.